Hello and welcome. Much earlier in the year, I'm making this recording in 2026. So, much earlier in the year, I had a session called Sales Mastery High Value Closing. Again, the session that I had then for my students was Sales Mastery High Value Closing. Now, the I wanted to share some of the things we spoke about in the session, but somehow I forgot. But anyway, I'm just going through my phone, going through my files, and I've seen some of the notes, and I figured, oh, okay, let me go ahead and then share that right now. So we're just going to be going over a training session that I had for clients of mine, students of mine, and again, it was called Sales Mastery High Value Closing. Now, this was several months ago, so forgive me. I will have to, as I'm going through the notes, I'll have to, jog my memory a little bit. And then apologies because today is a Tuesday, and the regular listeners, you know that the house gets cleaned on Tuesday, so there's going to be some noise in the background. Oh, excuse me. All right, so sales mastery, high value closing. Now, whenever I have sessions with people, I like to define key terms just so that we're all on the same page because my professional background is in law, and we have a very nasty habit in the law of when we're arranging seminars and things like that. We come with very grandiose titles, very big terms, and we all just assume that everybody knows what it means, and then we just start the session like that. So I like to do things a little bit differently. So we are going to try and define sales. We're going to look at the idea of mastery, and then we're also going to look at what it means to have a high value deal. So I repeat, we are going to look at what sales means. We're going to look at the idea of mastery, and then we're going to tackle the question: what does a high value prospect, a high value situation, a high value context? What does that even mean? So we need to understand these key terms before we can smash everything together and then know how we can master sales when we're in high value closing situations. So for the students, I looked at different ideas around sales and selling, at least in Nigeria. And the first one is this idea of toasting or this idea of, talent. People believe that selling is, it's like it's in the body, like the guy was born that way or the girl was born that way, and the person is very good at toasting. So the person was born with sweet mouth. So that's one idea that people have over here: toasting, sales. Sales equals sweet mouth equals toasting. How do you acquire toasting? How do you acquire sweet mouth? You were born that way. Now, unfortunately, there are lots of people who think so. I still run into people and I say, look, you need to start talking with people. And then some people say, well, I'm not like that. Like, what do you mean you are not like that? Yes, some people are born this way. There are some babes that are born with sweet mouth, and there's some guys that are born with sweet mouth. That doesn't mean that it's not a learnable skill and you can't acquire it. It's not everybody that you see with sweet mouth that was born that way. Some people have to acquire it. Now, whether you like it or not, if you're at the stage where you need to put some fire in the engine of your business and you don't have a sales team, I mean, who else is there? You are the one who has to do the job. So don't come and tell me that you are not born that way. If there's a job that needs to be done, I'm afraid you will have to do it, whether you think you were born that way or not. So, sales, okay, there's an element of toasting, there's an element of sweet mouth. But this whole thing of is a natural born talent, that part is false. And it doesn't matter what it is that you look at. So people who say, LeBron James, like, the guy gets out for body, like he's a very good basketballer. Okay, yeah, true. But the guy trains. And if he didn't train, his talent won't amount to much. So even for people that, they're born with it, they still have to develop it. So none of us can run away from this developing part. So stop saying I wasn't born that way. Stop saying I am not a talker. Stop talking in such fixed terms. I think there's someone, what's her name? Is it Carol Dwight? I can't remember her name anyway. But I think she's famous for talking about, what's it called again? Gosh, I can't remember what this term is called. But basically, some people think of themselves in fixed mindsets, and then some people think of themselves in flexible mindsets. So there's some people who think I am this, and because of that, they will never change their mind. And there's some people who think in flexible mindsets, like, okay, I might be here, but sure, I can try and do this. So it's one of those things. Don't say, I don't like people, or I am not a talker, or I don't come from a sales family, or, whatever. It's a skill. So even if you think sales is toasting, it's a skill. Learn how to toast. Even if you think people are born with talent, no problem. It doesn't excuse you. Learn the talent. Then there are also people in this part of the world who believe that sales is about branding, packaging, positioning. And yes, when I say that, I'm thinking about you, my Yoruba brothers and sisters. Yoruba people, they like packaging. We're going to start a business, more package, look right, sound right, dress right, drive right, right kind of building, right kind of this. So packaging, is their thing. It's not to say packaging is bad, but sales is more than packaging. Oh, sorry, one moment. I need to attend to something and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. So, like I said, the house is being cleaned, so my attention will be needed from time to time. Yeah, so this idea of sales as branding, as packaging, as positioning. Yeah, I know some of you will say, why do I insult Yoruba people like this? It's okay. Yoruba people are my friends, and then they're also my family. My sister in law is Yoruba, so I can take shots at them, and it's not a problem. And then plus, that's the beauty of being Nigerian, isn't it? We all take shots at ourselves every once in a while. Anyway, enough about Yoruba people. Where was I? So this idea of branding, packaging, and positioning, yeah, all of that is important. Definitely, you're supposed to package well. You know, you can't say you're in the beauty and the skincare space, but then when people see you, you look like, you understand. So it's important. However, sales goes beyond branding and packaging and positioning. You don't want to end up as sorry, there's this thing they used to say in my secondary school. What did they say again? Empty drum makes the loudest noise. That'd be something like that. Something like that. Beautiful on the outside, empty on the inside. Something. So it'll be terrible for the sales process if you package well. Then by the time you open your mouth, people don't hear anything. So visibly, you look good. The office looks good. The branding looks good. The everything looks good. You open your mouth, people hear rubbish. Who is that going to help? That's one of the reasons why I say we should pay attention to the more substantive parts of the business first. Make sure you are the subject matter expert and all those things. Try and be professional in your outlook. And we can sort out all that branding and packaging, with time. People are a lot more forgiving when you go the other direction. This is what I'm trying to say. So let's say I run an industrial cleaning outfit, but my branding, it ain't one kind. My packaging has a lot left to be desired. My positioning, I'm not deliberate about it. But when I talk to people, they hear that, oh, this is the guy. So long as it's office cleaning, this is the guy. He sounds like a professional. He knows what to do. He knows how we're supposed to, what reagents to use. He knows he's mindful of our business concerns, about quick turnaround times. Like there's a way that even though the guy doesn't look right or the girl doesn't look right, but she sounds like she knows what she's doing, people will be more forgiving than when you come thoroughly packaged, but then you open your mouth and then they're like, empty drum. So sales is beyond packaging. Packaging it's important. It's very important, but it's beyond that. So me personally, I don't encourage people to start from the packaging front. So, this is one area where that lady who wants to go into jewelry, you remember the episode, for those of you who listen, it's one of the places where we quarreled. She wants to get the shop, she wants to get, the shop on Lagos Island, she wants to design the branding, okay, like I get that, but really you're just holding yourself back. The most important thing is you want to get into the jewelry space. You're coming in brand new, you don't know anything yet. Raise some capital, buy a few stones, buy a few pieces, start trading and learning and then selling. Once you have entered into the industry, into the space, and you know what kind of stones, what kind of jewels, what kind of things Nigerians are buying, and you learn one or two things. Then you can worry about website and office space on the island and designer, what do you call this in showcase, the glass where you showcase your pieces and everything, as in step by step. Don't start your journey of increasing sales from the packaging end. Some people have made it work, but anyway, let me move on. I think you guys get the point. Then there's an idea of sales. There's some conceptions of sales where people think about sales as pitching. Pitching just means you get people together and then you talk at them and you try and convince them to buy something. That is wrong. Okay, well, it's not as if it's wrong because, yes, there's an element of pitching that is involved in sales. But the thing is, you want to be sure that you know what people are interested in before you even start pitching. So, people who think of sales pitches and who think in terms of pitching, it's not as if you're wrong. You're just putting the cart before the horse. You need to put something in front. And the thing you need to put in front is you need to understand what people find to be valuable before you pitch. Like I was talking to someone who was in, the person they end up being a client anyway, but the person is in tech sales. And the person was talking about how, oh, when I have the meeting, I'll run the demo, something, something, something. I'm like, look, calm down. The person has just showed up. Next thing you run demo. What are you going to run demo on? And the person said, I'll talk to them about this feature, about this feature, about this feature. Then I asked the person, did they tell you they're interested in this feature? Then the guy got the point. If they didn't tell you that they're interested in feature A, B, and C, why are you starting with feature A, B, and C? Why? You think A, B, and C is important, so therefore you will start there. Did they tell you that's what they like? Now, it'll be a good idea to mention A, B, and C because if you're selling your product, you suppose, you talk about everything. But you don't start your demo from what you think is important. You say, thank you very much for taking the meeting. I'm hoping that during this meeting, I'll be able to discover the needs of your business and how my own software, my own whatever can help you solve some of those problems. So before we begin, I need to ask, concerning these kinds of products, how do you use them in your business? Or what are the key problems that you're facing in your business that you're hoping this thing will solve? Or before you took this meeting, what were you hoping that you'll be able to learn about this thing and how you'll be able to help you improve your business, help you improve your output? Like that's how you start the meeting. Then when they say, look, in our business, this thing is killing us, this thing is a problem, this thing is a problem. When they talk, you now say, this thing is a problem. They say yes. So okay, now our software can solve this problem and this is how. Then you now enter the demo. But you started from the level of let me see what they even like first before you start pitching. Too many of you hook up the meeting, you come up, and then next thing PowerPoint, and then you start pitching. What are you pitching? You don't even know what they like. So these ideas of sales as pitching, relax. You will pitch. Don't worry. They'll give you time. Understand first what's going on. When you understand what's going on, when you understand what they need, good. You will now be able to make a relevant pitch, a convincing pitch. So instead of thinking as sales as pitching, you're better off thinking of sales as service. This is why. You can't serve somebody until you know what it is that they want. Think about that. Whether in a business setting or in a domestic setting, you can't serve someone until you know what it is that they want. When somebody wants to serve you in a domestic setting, what do they do? Don't they come first and ask that, what will you drink? We have water, we have Fanta. They will ask. Based on what the person says, you will now know that, okay, for this particular person, I will give them 8 wraps of fufu with 1 big bottle of Fanta and 3 pieces of bushmeat. So think of sales as service. When you come with that mindset of service, when you get to the stage where you want to pitch, you want to negotiate, you want to haggle, you want to, whatever, you'll be able to do it well. Because you came with a service mindset, you figured out what it is that people want, you're trying to help them solve their needs and fix their desires. So sales is service. So you can see that from what it is I'm saying, I'm not trying to say that there's one single unifying, view of sales, but I'm just trying to make sure that we have a very, what's the word? I don't know, comprehensive, universal idea of what sales is, because too many of you have all these broken ideas about sales. You're thinking of one thing and one thing only, and you're not seeing the larger picture. And that is precisely the reason why you are struggling in your business. Your idea of sales is too limiting. So if you're a pitching person, you're coming and you're pitching, and you're annoying the hell out of 80% of the people who are there, and you're wasting their time. You're not a valuable resource. And then that's why they're not picking your calls. Because every single time they pick their calls, the only thing you say is, I am the best, I'm the cheapest, I'm the brightest, this is the best feature, that is the best feature, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. Are you ready to buy? No. When are you going to buy? When are you going to buy? Buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. This feature, that feature. You're a pest. Anyway, so finally, one of the things that I spoke about during the session was this idea that, because some people think that, back to this whole thing of toasting and talent, some people think it's in the body, so people freestyle. No, there's no freestyling in sales. None. Even people who look like they're naturally good, if you pay attention, you will see that somebody has taught them one or two things. You see that they are following a particular pattern. Sales is about systems, it's about processes, it's about patterns, it's about, I don't know, whatever it is you want to call it. So, figure out the systems that apply in your own particular context. Figure out the processes that you like and work best with your own temperament, or work best with your own skill set, or work best with your own whatever. Figure it out. And then you follow that same mind frame or be mindset time after time after time after time after time. That's how we grow sales. The reason why we do it that way is because if you're freestyling all the time, you don't know what worked. You don't know how to change it. You don't know what to change. And I can tell you that I know this painfully from experience. Now, my initial background is in law. After law, civil service. After civil service, event photography and video. The very first, believe me, the very first, what's it called, bridal show that I went for, I didn't have a process. I was freestyling. I got about 3, 4 clients from that, each person at about maybe like 350, 400K each. That was a good outing for me at the time. It was a very good outing. But the thing is, I was freestyling. So what worked? I don't know. What didn't work? Till today, I still don't know because I don't remember what I did or what I said or what was the plan. I was winging it. Me and my guy, we were there. We were winging it. So at the next bridal show, how should we start it? We don't know. What should we say to customer? We don't know. How do we build rapport with people? We don't know because we were winging it. The first one, we were winging it. We're just freestyling. So the second one now, guess how many customer? Zero. What should I improve? I don't know. Because for the first one, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. When you are constantly, you just wake up and, as the spirit leads you, you enter field, you start talking to people. That's the problem. What worked? You don't know. What didn't work? You don't know. What should you improve? You don't know. What should you do again? You don't know. So figure out the systems, figure out the processes, figure out the frameworks. Do the same thing over and over again. You'll be able to figure out that, oh, you know what? My opening is not strong. When I open the convo, that's where the problem is. Or I open the conversation well. I figure out their needs well. The problem is I don't know how to make an effective presentation. Or I opened it well. I figured out their needs well. My presentation was on point. But when it came to closing the deal, I was afraid. I didn't really, I know to gather confidence. I was afraid to say, will you buy or you won't buy? When you break it down into processes like this in your mind, you can now start, that's why you start making progress. Okay, I'm good here, I'm good here. I need to work on this. Don't freestyle at all. If you're freestyling, you will have issues like how me and my guy did. That you can go for one event and easy 1.2, 1.3 M. Good outing. Then the next outing, zero. You didn't see anything. And that's the reason why I say, even though you don't like me, because I'm not everybody's cup of tea, I've quarreled with a few people who have reached out, through the podcast. So I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So you don't have to go with me. Whether you don't like my methods or maybe I'm too expensive. No, Allah, you don't have to do with me. But please don't approach anybody that is not talking systems, that is not talking processes, that is not talking frameworks. Don't. So those are some of the ideas that we expressed around sales. Yeah, about the definition of sales. Let me see. Okay, there's mastery, then there's high value. You know what? It's already been 20 minutes. So if I continue like this, I think I will take up too much of your time. I'm trying not to record 1 hour episodes anymore. So let me just stop it here. So at least we've looked at different ideas, different conceptions, different perceptions, different perspectives around sales that people have in Nigeria. And I've tried to argue and I've tried to show that it's not going to help you if you come in with one very limited, tiny idea of what sales and what selling is. We need wider conceptions of what sales is, much more flexible conceptions of what sales and selling is. That is what will help you when you're in the field, when you're talking to people, when you're trying to grow your business, when you're strategizing. If you just come in with, oh, sales is packaging, you're not thinking of anything else, it will be a problem. If you come in with, oh, sales is talent, you're not thinking of anything else, it will be a problem. If you're thinking of, oh, sales is pitching, you're not thinking of anything else, it will be a problem. If you're freestyling, it's going to be a problem. So we need a wider conception of sales and selling. So, like I said, whether you work with me, whether you don't work with me, whether you like me, whether it is you don't like me, anybody who tells you sales is X, run away from that person. You're going to be in trouble. There's some people who say sales is persuasion, and that's the whole thing. Run away from those people. There's a whole lot more than persuasion. There's some people who say sales is service. Run away from those people. There's a whole lot more than service. The only person you shouldn't run away from is the person who says selling is a system. You can stick with that person. Because systems, by definition, have to recognize different dynamics and harmonize everything to work together. So anybody who is shouting sales is systems, okay, good, listen to that person. There's something you can learn there. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention. The next time I hop on the microphone, we're going to continue this whole thing of sales mastery, high value closing. Remember, this was a session that I had with students, or should we say clients, early on in 2026. And so in the next session, we're going to explore the idea of mastery so that we can understand what sales mastery is. I think I'll limit that to one session. Then after that, we'll look at the idea of high value so that we can understand what high value contexts are before we can start going into how to close in those sorts of situations. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Remember, if you'd love to connect with me, I'm always a DM away or a phone call away. You can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you all at the next episode.